So today we're going to talk about, we're going to start unpacking the 8 limbs of yoga. Last class we did the 4 paths of yoga. So let me see if I can share. Here it is. And can you all see that?
Yep.
Okay, great. So this is all of it in one. These are the 8 limbs. So we have the yamas, which are our ways of living, our way of living, our niyamas, which is self-discipline and the way we tend to ourselves. And then asana, which is what we just did, the physical postures, the pranayama, which is the breath control, the pratyahara, which is the retraction of the senses, the dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. So these are the 8 limbs of yoga. And, you know, in India, like, you know, traditionally, classically, you know, a lot of modern families, they don't practice this, but traditionally it's like the yamas were taught to children from the very beginning. It's like, we're not violent, you're truthful, you don't steal. Brahmacharya can be celibacy or moderation. So we're not eating a whole gallon of ice cream that we just made. We're eating a bowl, you know, or a cup of it. So moderation in all of our actions. We're not exercising to, you know, 150% and depleting ourselves. We're working at around 70%. So these, you know, yoga and Ayurveda are sister sciences. They go together. So it's moderation in all things. And then a parigraha, which is non-possessiveness. So let's go through these yamas. Ahimsa, nonviolence. I've talked about this in class. So it's that alone is a really hard practice, right? If you notice your internal dialogue, you know, you'll find maybe little things where you're saying things to yourself or judgments of other people, you know, or watch the news and see what comes up. You know,
Ew.
see if you have see if you have thoughts come up that maybe aren't nice. You know, so ahimsa is nonviolence in words, thoughts, or actions towards ourselves and towards others.
Yeah,
and
hard.
that's the foundation. That's the foundation. Satya is truthfulness, being truthful. And that doesn't mean that we're just telling somebody something like, oh, that sweater looks horrible on you. That's not kind, first of all, you know. So any kind of truthfulness is surrounded by kindness and compassion. Again, going back to ahimsa, doing no harm. And then asteya, non-stealing of time of others, non-stealing of possessions or partners or, you know, whatever, no, non-stealing of everything, right? Non-stealing of intellectual property. And then brahmacharya is the celibacy or moderation, working at 70% for everything that we do, right? We're not depleting ourselves by working too hard. We're not playing too hard. We're not sleeping too much. So it's moderation in everything that we do. Eating too much, shopping too much, all of it. Having sex too much, which is depleting of the ojas, the life force. And then aparigraha, which is non-possessiveness. So non-grasping. So the grasping leads to suffering also. All of these lead to suffering if they're not, if they're not done or practiced properly. So the non-grasping of, I need things to be a certain way. Right? I'm pulling up a chart here. A teacher of mine created this amazing chart. through a lifetime of studying yoga, that just takes it to like next level. It's so great. If you're interested, I'll share it with you if you want. If you want, I'll send it to you. But
I'd like to see it.
Yeah, me too.
yeah, it's I just stare at it and like unpack it. It's so good. But basically, so I wish I had a picture of it that I could share with you so that it made sense talking it through. I mean, you'll see when you read it. So I think, but they all build on each other and lead to each other and support each other. It's all connected. It's not like, oh, now I'm practicing ahimsa and now I'm going to do this, because it's a thread that winds through everything. All of them do. They intertwine with each other. I've got a dog that needs my attention. So the ahimsa leads to truthfulness, which the truthfulness leads to moderation. Or I'm sorry, the truthfulness leads to non-stealing, the asteya. So they little arrows pointing down to each one, right? Basically. And the non-stealing leads to non-excessiveness or moderation, the brahmacharya, which leads to non-possessiveness or non-grasping.
Right.
And the aparigraha, the non-grasping, the more we can detach, it doesn't mean we're aloof. It means we're not attached to the outcome. We do our practice. Abhyasa is our practice, the practice of the yamas. And then our Vyagram is the detachment from the outcome. So the Yoga Sutras, which we'll be talking about later, right? We'll be breaking those down in each of these. It's going to take years with a half an hour a month, but that's okay. We can always add time if people want to do that and like, hey, let's do it more often. So we practice and we detach. We practice, we release control of the outcome. We do our actions, we release control of the outcome. I did my best. There's nothing else to do, right? I voted, whatever's going to be is going to be. I did what I can do, right? Or whatever it is. You know, I weeded the garden and they still popped back up. So what do? I weed again. And then they pop back up and I weed again and I can release it. I don't get mad about it. I don't get attached to it and need it to be a certain way, if that makes sense. But through the detachment and the vairagyam is when the niyamas come in, right? So I am going to send, this is just the best chart. It is, I'm going to hold it up and see if you can, I don't know if you'll be able to see it or you know,
No.
Yeah.
I'll send it to you if you're interested. It's awesome. Awesome. So the niyamas are our self-discipline. And these happen when we're able to let go and not grasp aparigraha. These start happening, right? So socha is cleanliness of our environment, cleanliness of our body, cleanliness of our mind. You know, that's why we do our morning dinacharya, our morning ritual, our dinacharya, scraping the tongue, oil pulling, abhyanga, the oil massage, showering, brushing your teeth, getting the bowels to move. All of these things are our morning routine, the morning ritual of cleanliness. And then we have, you know, other ways of cleanliness also throughout our day. Cleanliness of mind, you know, how much violence are we taking in? How much craziness of the world are we taking in? Is it too much? Or is it in moderation, brahmacharya? It's important to stay informed, I think, you know, of our surroundings and know what's going on. But are we on social media 24/7 and just lost down the rabbit hole. That's not that's not brahmacharya, moderation, and it doesn't lead to cleanliness of the mind. It leads to chaos of the mind, right? We're not channeling the fluctuations of the mind, which is what yoga is. We're channeling the fluctuations of the mind. How do we choose to feel? Suffering is optional, always. It's optional. If there's suffering, we'll unpack this in the Yoga Sutras. If we're suffering, we go back to the yamas. Is something out of line here? Niyamas, something out of line here. Most likely. And there's also other forms of suffering that or causes of suffering. And then the cleanliness leads to contentment. So again, just like imagining little arrows going down from ahimsa to satya to asteya to brahmacharya to aparigraha to socha, santosha. So there's little arrows, they lead to each other. But it's not like, oh, if I got to socha, that means all the rest of this, all my yamas are just golden, right? Because it's a continual practice. There's always these things to work with. Does this make sense so far?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. So santosha is contentment. And that's reflected in our thoughts and our words and our actions. Tie this into that. I mean, it's all elemental, right? So it's like, if you're having a thought, first it's like a vapor, it's the ether. And then it becomes more concrete and it's a thought. And now you're thinking this, there's a little fire behind it, right? And then maybe you say something. All really fast, a lot of times, but it's like, boom. And then there's actions that lead to it. So it starts with the thoughts. It starts with, what are we bringing in? What are we cultivating in our life that's going to manifest? So we could go more on that. So the contentment in life, again, it's your thoughts, words, and actions. You know, you can't be, it doesn't work like this where you're you know, doing whatever. I can't, like really violent things. That's an easy thing. So just really violent, and you're philandering and you're doing all kinds of just not kind things, right? And then out of your mouth comes honey and just sweetness and kindness, and your actions are going to be sweet. Not if you're putting dirt in the system. If you're creating toxins in the system, that's what's going to come out.
So how does, if this is under, and I'm just reading under niyamas, our self-discipline, because I interpret the word contentment as you're content with what you have, you're content with
Who you are.
you know, your material possessions, or you're content with your life. But how does that mean? Is that a mental self-discipline to be satisfied with those things? Or because the other, like cleanliness, or the other ones, the examples you gave, you know, is more than physical cleanliness, but it's cleanliness of your you know, your thoughts, or even, as you said, not taking in too much. It relates back to moderation. So can you be, I guess the question is, can you be too content? Does that lead to then you're just not growing? Can you
Connected? Yeah.
Can you be too content, too happy with, too satisfied with, you know, where you are?
That is such a good question, Gail. Okay, so I'm going to take.
And there might not be an answer. I don't know. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
Too content. Then you start feeling guilty, and then you start feeling, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But does that follow what we're just talking about here? Right? So like what you were saying, feeling guilty and all that. So if you've got, I'm just going to take that down for a minute so I could see everybody bigger. So too much contentment can be an imbalance, right? Is it really contentment or is it lethargy?
Right.
Like, oh, I'm so happy. I'm just going to sit on the couch and watch Netflix all day. I'm so content. It's like, that sounds lethargic.
Yeah.
It sounds like too much earth and water. Like you need to get up and move. You know, you need to get a little fire going on. You need to get a little movement going on, right? Like, or sleeping 12 hours a day.
Right. But that would go back to moderation. So,
Absolutely.
that's,
Yeah.
sitting on the TV, watching TV all day would be, yeah.
Right.
Yucky.
You can be happy all day, right?
No,
But the
yeah.
contentment, going back to, I think, like your original question sounded like it was self-discipline for the niyamas sounds like more active than just being content. Like I'm just content. Whereas cleanliness, I need to do things to make myself clean. Santosha can just happen. However, it is an action. It's a way of tending to ourselves. It's noticing, which we're going to talk about now, the tapas, svadhyaya, and ishvara pranidhana. That it's noticing the thoughts that are coming into the mind. It's noticing what we are bringing in through the brahmacharya, through the non-grasping, through all of these yamas, and the way we tend to ourselves, noticing how things make us feel. And then those turn into thoughts. It's like an ether. It's a subtle, right? It's the subtle energy. How does that make me feel? Ooh, I feel constriction in my body. I don't want to do that or watch that anymore. Ooh, I feel spacious and clear and content. I want to stay on this path. And that becomes the thoughts, and that becomes the words, and it becomes the actions. You're not pouring dirty water into a vase of flowers, a bunch of dirt and sticks, and it's all muddy and gross. And then you throw fresh flowers in there, right? You want a clean vessel with a clean in the mind, body, spirit, actions, words. It doesn't work where we pour dirty water into a vessel and expect beauty to come from it. Right?
Right.
I mean, unless you're a lotus flower, okay, there's that, but that's different. It's like, a lotus flower wouldn't be a good example, but because it is rising up out, actually it could be, because it's rising up out of the muck towards the light. Again, it's all leading to the light within. Does that answer the question? So it is active. Maybe the word contentment is making it feel more passive.
Yeah.
I mean, I would also, I could put the word happiness in there. And I mean, I was looking above the yamas, since they're all interrelated, and can see, if, like, especially under non-possessiveness and moderation is, being happy or satisfied or content with the size of your house, or you don't need many, the American culture, people have much more than they need. And if you do some readings, you talk about people who have less material things, even in the United States, but they're happy.
Yeah.
They're happy, probably because of that, because they're not striving for the
Right.
big new thing.
Yeah.
And there is discipline in that. If I think about, you relate it back, really does relate back to the way of living things. Like, do I need another sweater or another sweatshirt? No, I really don't. I have way too many as it is. So I should just be content with that,
Yeah.
Hmm.
But it starts, okay, so stay with me here. It starts with that subtle. It's like, what makes me want that extra cookie or that extra sweater or a bigger house? What's out of balance where I'm grasping? I need it. I gotta have it. I want it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? And then that comes into a thought, oh, I rationalize it. Well, I've got to have it because my neighbors have it. So I want to have it too. I want to fit in. I want everybody to like me. I want whatever it is, right? I want the prestige. I want everybody to think I'm really cool. I want whatever, right? I don't know. Just,
No, it's true.
like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
these are the thoughts that go through the mind if you start paying attention. And then you're like, well, that's just a thought. The monkey brain's going to do the monkey brain thing. We all have it. And it's like, but it's noticing it that makes the difference. It's noticing and then deciding, because we do have free will. Everything is not predestined. We have free will to influence our lives and our happiness. And so do I choose, okay, maybe I'm going to ponder this. Well, but I really like that sweater. It would look really good on me. That's my color. I only have these other sweaters. This one has a special neck. I don't have one with a special neck like this, and it's going to be cold. I am taking that trip. I've been through a lot. I deserve a little something. Right? All of these things start coming into play. And then we go, yeah. I need the sweater. It's like, if you guys get the sweater, enjoy the sweater. Right? We don't beat ourselves up about it. Oh my God, I'm a horrible person. I've got 10 sweaters and now I have 11. Some people have no sweaters. Enjoy the sweater. But it's the being aware. If you're going to eat the extra cookie, be aware of eating the extra. Why do you want the extra cookie? What are you trying to do there? I had extra cookies last night and they were delicious. However, I paid the price because it disrupted my sleep. I ate sugar too late.
Yeah.
So it's like, and I knew it going into it. Why did I do that to myself? I feel fine, but it's like, why did I do that to why did I cause a disruption in the system? Because I need to cleanse is what I need to do. I need to take all the excess doshas down and start fresh, clean it up a little bit. So that's why we do cleanses. So I encourage you to do like a 3-day cleanse or something, right? No phones, detox. Clean up the diet, maybe. Rest. That's an aside, but the contentment coming from starting with that subtle, right? There can be an imbalance, and then you're not content. You think you're content, but you're just eating the extra ice cream, getting the sweater, doing this, running off here, doing this, just always out, grasping, which goes back to the yamas, non-grasping, the aparigraha, non-possessiveness, non-grasping. Right? So you see how they're all
Interconnect.
And then tapas is what happens when you're like, well, I want that extra sweater. Wait a minute. Why do I want that extra sweater? What's that about? What am I trying to fill a void? Do I really need that sweater? Why do I want it so badly? Why is it such a strong pull to have that cookie, to have that sweater? Like, what in me is needing something filled when I really don't need it? If I just want it, let's just be honest about it. I want it. Why do we want it? And just looking at that, right? Just making it an experiment. That's the fire. We self-reflect. That's the self-discipline, tapas. And we do this all day long. Like when I started the yoga class, it's like I had been reflecting on the words I said last class about there's nothing we can do about it. And it's like, I wanted to make sure that I was clear on what I meant with that, because it's like, maybe that came across in a fatalistic way to somebody. And I wanted to make sure that's not what my intention was. And maybe I ruminated on it too much. So it's like, there's all that self-reflection, right?
Yeah.
The monkey brain is fabulous. So then you reflect on it. It's like, why do I want it? What am I trying to make myself feel better because I've had so much to go through lately, or whatever it is, why I want that sweater or cookie or whatever it is. And then, so the tapas is actually the practice of looking at the self, of evaluating what's happening. And the svadhyaya is the self-study of the looking at it. And it's like, well, why do I want that? You know, what is it about me? Or maybe I need to study my texts more, or the sacred texts, and absorb myself more in the teachings so that I can come back to homeostasis, you know, instead of trying to fill the void with whatever it is I need to buy, a bigger house, a car, whatever it is, sweater, cookie. And then once we've done that self-evaluation and self-reflection, we let it go. We let it go. We've done our work. Maybe it's a conversation with somebody. Maybe the tapas, which is heat, friction, was a conversation with somebody and it didn't go how we would have liked it to have gone. So then we're like reflecting on it. It's like, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Why did they say that? Let me just mull this over a little bit, look at it from different angles. And then we go, and if we have something to clean up, we clean it up. We say, I'm sorry, I was wrong, or whatever the conversation was. We clean up messes if we make a mess. In relationship, yoga is about relationship. So without relationship, we wouldn't have that tapas as much.
Right.
Right? That's the rub.
Yeah, that's the start.
That's the rub. No matter how loving and wonderful the relationship, there's always, that's where we learn, right? We get polished. We're rough rocks and we're in life and we're getting tumbled around, and then we turn into like these perfectly smooth, beautiful gems from getting knocked around, getting the rough edges smoothed out. If that's the path for this life, this doesn't happen to everybody. Some people stay rough. That's their path. So we have the fire, we have some sort of friction or something that's that's a little rub, you know, or a little desire or whatever, and then we reflect upon it, svadhyaya, self-study, we look into it, we're like, what's going on here? And do I need to clean anything up? Or was everything fine? Or why do I want that? And then we let go of the results. We surrender with no expectations. I pull the weeds. I do have expectations because I know they're going to come back, but that's part of weed pulling, right?
It's part of the circle of life.
Yeah, exactly. But when we get to the surrender.
Yeah.
The surrender. That's why I say in class, it's like there's an allowing, it's a softening, a surrender. They're all the same meaning, just different words work for different people, especially if there's religious trauma. You know, surrender doesn't feel good to a lot of people, possibly. But it's a surrender with no expectations. We've done our work. You've done your work. You've gone through the things. You're content, you're at peace, and you release the outcome. You soften around it. And that's When we soften, that's where the connection with source comes in. If we are all fire and just, gee, it's got to be this, there's not a the connection to source.
Is lost.
Yeah, it's like walled up. It's walled up. It's a contraction when you're in that go, go, go state. There's dukkha. It's contraction. It's not soft and expansive and clear. You can also think more clearly with the surrender. There's space around things. There's ease. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have to get to the other one. Each one is like its own thing, really.
Yeah.
This is like Cliff Notes, right? So it's a starter, though. It's a starter. And then I will send this to you that Libby Levine made. And it's it's wonderful, I think.
Okay.
But you might let me know what you think. You know, we can talk about it more if you want.
Look forward to that.
Any thoughts on any of that, or does that make sense?
I think the surrender is hard. I think it's really hard because then you know, because especially in our society where fix it, go, do it right, do it until it's done, you know, and the surrender of it's okay if it's not, if I didn't finish, or it's okay if, you know, the surrender is hard. For me, that's the hardest part.
I
And
agree.
yeah.
I would invite to go back to aparigraha. There's grasping happening.
Right.
Why we can't let go to just surrender.
Right.
Like I have to have it this way. No, I've
Right.
got to finish this part of the yard today. It has to be done. Why?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, or
Yeah.
just using my gardening thing right now, but it applies to everything, right? Everything.
Mm-hmm.
Linda, you want to say something?
Maybe, and I don't know. I, I keep thinking of the many other disciplines that reflect these values too, that they're so basic, they're so central that, you know, generations,
Right.
centuries, eons of people have found some aspects of this wisdom, and so it's in a lot, it survives in other traditions. But I don't know, I'm a meditator, and and of course there are many people providing avenues to meditation using different, that are coming out of different traditions, but all of them seem to talk about when you meditate, which is to center yourself, regardless of the exterior, of your life around you, defined balance and centeredness. And they all talk about equanimity. And the man that I enjoy listening to defines that, I think, as a kind of surrender. It doesn't mean giving up. It doesn't mean just collapsing. It means to allow whatever's there to be there. Like, just to simplify it, I mean, you could expand this, I know, over to your hardships in your life, but let's say you're trying to meditate and there's traffic noise and, the faucet drips or what, that kind of thing that your mind struggles against. It's kind of fun to reduce it to these little things because you can easily transpose that to big things in your life. But instead of fighting it, I accept it. Come on in. We're all here.
Yeah.
Still going to keep breath. I'm keeping my breath. I'm keeping my I'm focusing on what I'm doing, but I'm allowing what I can't change to be here.
To be, yeah.
And so it's that, in that sense, surrendering is the tool that allows you to thrive.
There you go. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that so much, Linda, because
Yeah.
it's like so true. And it's like, if we're, God, that drip is just happening. I'm trying to meditate. That drip. Now I'm focused on the drip.
Yeah, oh, exactly.
I'm grasping on, I'm holding on to dear life up to that drip of like, that is so annoying. That's really making me mad. I wish it would be quiet. I can't meditate. I'm trying to meditate. This drip is stopping me. And it's like, that's what the mind does though, right? So exactly what you said, Linda, of just that allowing that, it's like, it's a softening around it. It's like, there's the drip. And then you don't notice it anymore.
Right.
If you grasp onto something, it's like, oh, my toe hurts. Oh, my toe hurts. My toe hurts. Oh, my toe hurts. It's like, now it's a thing. Now my toe really hurts. It's like, can we just allow the sensations to move through? It's just like the book that we're reading, The Untethered Soul. He talks about this, about allowing things to move through.
Right.
There might be stutter, it might hurt, but it's like you welcome it and and then it can move through instead of getting stuck in the system somewhere and becoming a pain or a chronic a condition of suffering.
Right.
Those ideas about dancing in the rain, that kind of thing, that you won't dance and for very long unless you can dance in the rain. When things aren't perfect, and they aren't, there are genuine issues, but still, nevertheless, she persisted,
Yeah. And all religions, I mean, I'm not a religious expert, but all religions have something like this. This is not a religion. Again, this is the Yoga Sutras. So, but the Vedas are one of the oldest texts, if not the oldest text in the world. And then this came from like Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. So that's what we're talking about here. Patanjali was a person or maybe a group of people. Scholars don't really know. And the Yoga Sutras were written. This is from the Yoga Sutras. This is part of the Yoga Sutras, but it's a foundational part of yoga that most everybody talks about. So it's like, let's get started with the 8 limbs and then we'll start unpacking Yoga Sutras and we'll come across these again. But they were written about 400 BCE. So, the Hindus were already happening. Christianity has not come on the scene yet. Buddhism is on the scene. And Buddhism and Hindus take from yoga and create put it into their religion.
Yeah.
I noticed that Buddha, when we visited, I didn't understand, but the Buddhas, there are many Buddhas with 8 arms. And I smiled when you pointed out the 8. I have no idea if that's related or not, but it made me think, well, I could understand the statues that way, what the 8 arms might be about.
I wonder if you're thinking of like, I don't know about Buddhas having 8 arms. I know that there's lots of different deities, gods and goddesses, and
I'll
some
send you
of them
I'll
have
send
8
you the
arms.
picture. I have no idea either, but it made me wonder. I was going to ask you, but there are lots of them. In fact, on your phone, if you just put in Buddha with 8 arms, there
Okay.
many. And
Look.
my battery has 2% left.
Okay.
I know that I'll be leaving you one way or another.
I hope you feel better soon. Have a great trip, Linda.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
See,
one goddess you might want to look up is Durga, Durga. She's got a lot of arms, and she
And
is,
that's the one.
yeah, yes, is
she
that
takes no duty from nobody.
that right?
She's fierce mama, she's fierce warrior goddess,
Mm.
justice, compassion, and she will behead you if you're not performing properly. She's pretty interesting, and I mean, each of her hands has something different, like a different thing, and they all symbolize thing. I just think that's all just so interesting, you know, the mythology. And
Me too.
Hmm.
but have a wonderful day. Let me know if you have
Right.
questions. I'll send this over to you, the chart that Libby made.
That'd be great.
See what you think.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right. Welcome back,
Bye.
Gail. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a
thank
great
you.
day, guys.
Yeah, you too.